friends at PBS reached out. In the climate in the last 3-4 weeks has been really difficult for many of us because all the recent events and some of the political rhetoric that's been going around. And I just want to get a quick poll, generally speaking. How many people have been harassed or received some sort of verbal threats or physical threats or been treated differently in the last 3 weeks personally? Has anyone been treated differently in the last 3 weeks? Okay. How many people have known someone or know someone who has been treated differently in the last 3 weeks? And how many people feel that this has been one of the more difficult times since 9/11 to be a Muslim in the country? Oftentimes our stories are told for us. We want to tell our own stories. We want to speak from our own voices. And it's really important that we offer those perspectives.
Thank you all very much. Assalamu alaikum. My name is PJ Tobia. I'm a reporter at the PBS NewsHour. So someone who raised their hands about feeling uncomfortable, a different change in the atmosphere, the temperature around you. If someone would like to talk about that, I'd really appreciate it. Who wants to go first?
That people are treating you differently, or have you been feeling differently in the atmosphere in places that you normally go in your community?
For myself personally, I haven't felt any difference, largely because of the way I look. I mean, the beard nowadays is a very trendy thing to have.
Tell me about it.
You got a long way coming, but it's there. I haven't felt anything different for myself, nothing out of the norm. At work, even on the metro, working in the heart of DC, 3 blocks away from the White House, nothing different. More so it's family, friends, or family themselves, more specifically the women in our community. That's what I've heard and I felt there's a lot of attention on, because just like I said, I could be walking down the street as a regular hipster with just a beard, or I could be Jewish, or I could be any other things, a list of things that I can be. Nothing really stands out about me that says that I'm Muslim. Whereas for the women, it's the hijab that sets them aside from the rest of people.
And what sort of things have you been hearing from your female friends and family?
Something along the lines of what the sisters mentioned. I mean, sometimes it's a little bit more scary, a little bit more cautious, where, somebody's been following her in the car. 2 or 3 lights, well, she'll make a right turn on purpose without blinkers and someone is following her, or hateful comments as people walk by. I know from my sister who lives in Allentown, Pennsylvania, it's a daily thing for her, where it got to the point with one person where she had to notify the cops, where the guy memorized her route, where she was going picking up her kids from soccer, picking her kids up from karate. And it's like everyday things, and where, those sort of things where it's everyday routine, where you already have to worry about traffic, you have to worry about being late to pick up your kid, and now you got to worry about some crazy whack job who's going to be following you around, memorizing your route. That's a bit scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, did you have a comment?
For myself, because I get a lot in touch with people, because I am in a steering committee of interfaith committee, so I get a lot of comment, but fortunately I say it's all for the good. Nothing for the bad. That they say, well, we know where you came from and we know your contribution to the community and we do appreciate you, and if anybody bothers you, feel free to call us for any help. And in my neighborhood, I've been there for at least some 30 years, so all the neighbors know me and know my wife, so when she goes with her hijab, they know her, and actually they offer her, they say, if you are to go to some shopping center, you are worried or afraid, we will be more than willing to escort you. So, well, I have been seeing everything good.
Excellent.
Yep.
Have people noticed it getting worse in the last 2 weeks, let's say? Has anyone noticed anything more, perhaps more dirty looks or being treated any differently by people you know?
Usually take the metro to work.
Okay.
And most people think I look like Ethiopian, so I'm easy to pass by. But the people I take the bus from here to metro is like to this Syrian girl all the time. So as soon as the French incident happened, almost 3 weeks ago, they increased the patrol in the metro and the buses and everything. So it was, I'm not going to say the location, but it was 2 cops usually metro and another cops usually goes around. So I kind of noticed a pattern that they basically keep telling them, the girls, like, okay, open your bags, open your bags. Open. So I just let it go, like, first couple of days, and then, so one day I just kind of kicked off. So I got there before them, then they were behind me, and they came in, the same cops just pulled them over. So I just walked back, and then I told them, like, why you I keep asking them, basically, open your bags, when you have a million people keep walking back and forth, including me. And that escalated from then until I called the supervisor. They have to stop it, picking them basically every single morning. So that's what's going on around that a lot of people.
What does the
doesn't see.
supervisor say?
He basically changed the location. Those two officers, was another officer, he brought in a female to basically do the random check, and she let it go like one or twice, and the third time I was behind him, and she picked it up, and basically I just turned around, I was like, where's the other dogs? Did they replace you with you on that? So they kind of noticed that I'm seeing this, and I said, I'm gonna keep recording. And basically I had a friend of mine, we part of the Black Lives Matter movement as well. And I said, we're just gonna upload it and show it in the whole, so they basically stopped doing that.
I'm hearing stories about the women in your community that are feeling like they're being followed, men, children being profiled by other middle schoolers and feeling a sense of fear. How does that make you guys feel? How does that make you angry, or I can't imagine what kind of reaction that sparks.
I think most of the people, when they look at the TV, they really see, that Muslim sort of terrorists are involved, but they don't see the other people, majority of the people who are condemning this particular act. So I think something needs to be done. That will help this whole situation, people getting angry that, oh, Muslims are terrorists, because, that's the only thing which is shown on all these TV channels. There are many good people who are condemning this particular act, so those needs to come, and then that should be shown on the TV channels also.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump had some interesting things to say over the last 48 to 72 hours. Or what's any reaction to that?
It's just.
Who wants to go first? Oh, this young woman.
I actually wrote a poem about how I feel, so.
I would love for you to read the poem. What's her name?
Islamophobia. It's called United We Stand. Words on the news are like kids being abused, people spreading rumors like flus. He's a Muslim, standing strong until words come tumbling down his well of hope. But even though he looks around, people think of him as a joke. People laugh and stare because he doesn't go to church every Sunday. They call him an Islamic extremist. What they don't know is that he's the realist. We go through the pain being discriminated every day. Why must you rip the identities that cover our hair? We all have the same bones, 2 eyes, and beating hearts. So explain to me, Donald Trump, do some really represent all? They are terrorists, but do Muslims really have to take the fall? We wear our identities in our breath, blood, and soul. We do not need computerized IDs telling who we are and what we do. Is this another repetition of what Hitler did to the Jews? So Donald Trump, come forth and into the light. Open your eyes and heart. This is the United States of America. Do not start tearing it apart.
Wow, that was great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hold on, I'll keep the microphone for a second. I want to ask
okay.
you questions about that. So what inspired you to write that?
Well, lately, a lot of people have been just society in general, a lot of hate on Muslims, and I've been given looks around the street, and people have been calling me names. And
Really? What kind of names?
well, there's this guy, I don't know, he just sits across the street, and every single time I walk by to school, he's always like, go back to your home, or I'm gonna kill you, and I just feel threatened, and the best way for me, how I express myself is writing poetry, so I decided to write this poem.
That's lovely. But I can't imagine an older man saying something like that to me, much less being you're a high school student?
Yes.
Being a high school woman, young woman. Are you scared?
Yes, but you can't really show people that you're scared. You're gonna have to put your brave face on and go out there in the world.
Excellent. I think you're very brave.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing that poem.
It's the same thing that the sister said. My fourth grader was told to tell a story about ISIS. And it's just because the name and the thought of him being a Muslim. I think that's a wrong thing for the school teachers to encourage their other students and other teachers to do profile students, elementary school, like this kid. Is wrong. And there is a lot of media rhetoric that is feeding into this. And just like the sister said, my daughter stopped praying in the school. The teachers told her, you can't do that here. This is not the place.
What grade is she in?
She's now 8th grade, but she's been harassed multiple times. And this is the school. This is where she goes and spend a lot of time. And I didn't think that's right. Islam didn't born yesterday, and this country existed more than 200 years.
Yeah.
And it's for everybody, not for one group.
Are you scared for your daughter, for your family?
I mean, it's very uncomfortable to see your children being scared and harassed every day about how they look and what they might believe. I don't think it's the right thing to do. Because they don't ask the other kids, and they don't ask the other kids to explain who's ISIS and what is ISIS doing.
Or after a white man shoots something up.
They don't know. They elementary school, they don't know all of that. We don't even watch TV.
Right.
So it's the wrong thing.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. Appreciate that.
You wanted to respond to the Donald Trump comments.
As funny as it may sound, I actually, after a day or two after hearing what Donald Trump had to say and hearing what media outlets and different members of Congress and different public figures had to say, I honestly think it's a blessing in disguise. I'm kind of happy that Donald did say what he said, and I actually see it for the better, see the silver lining of it, because I know for myself within the Muslim community, different Muslim communities across the U.S. have been trying to do damage control. Whenever there's a shooting, as often as it is here in the U.S., one of the first questions and one of the first things that pops up is, do I have to go and defend my religion, my faith tomorrow at work and to my family and friends and on Facebook? But what Donald did was rally up people who previously have said what some would consider Islamophobic comments, what people have said would be attacking Islam, are now coming and rallying in support of Islam, in support of Muslims. Different members of the Republican Party itself are coming out and defending Islam, whereas you can easily go up on YouTube and find multiple videos of them talking ill about Islam or downgrading it. But now you find people that are defending it. And that's honestly, other plus, it's really drawn the line and it's made people pick sides. Whereas do you want to be on the right side of history and not make the same mistake as many people have made before? Or do you want to be remembered as Nazi Germany and members who took part in that?
Yeah. So an idea that people it's drawn a line and people have to pick sides now.
Absolutely.
I'd like to shift it.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yesterday afternoon around 4:30, I've been driving a cab in DC. I'm a cab driver. The police, they call executive. They stopping me.
The police pulled you over.
Yeah, the police pulled over for me. I've been driving 17th Street. I make right to Edge Street. Then when he stopped me, he came to me and say, "Do you know why we stopped you?" I say, "I don't know." He say, "One of you light is not working." And he take my idea and take every document that I had to drive the cab. Then they hold me almost 1 hour. After that, he say, "I want to call any other officers. We want to give you interview. Would you allow us?" And I say, "What kinds of question you want to ask me? And when did you start this job? And why you walking around, area in White House?" I say it's my job. You know, I'm a cab driver. I can pick it up and I drop because of my job. And also, they forced me and they say, do you have any weapon in your car? I say, I don't have anything in my car. You can check. And also, they tried to ask me a lot of questions. Then what
It's okay, you can turn the phone off, it's fine.
And then he called any other cabbies, and also, and they say, you know, when did you start this job? How long you have been doing this job? Last question they asked me, so you stay there. You know, we would like to ask you any other question. I say I don't want to answer any question, and you cannot answer any question, and you cannot answer me. You cannot ask me any other question. Also, I say I have a lawyer. If you want to talk to my lawyer, I give him the number, and they drop my ID on the floor, and I pick it up, and they give me $75 ticket. That what happened to me yesterday.
Do you have a lot of contact with law enforcement? Do they pull you over regularly?
They pull me, you know, regularly.
Regularly?
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Drive safely. And now you had a story you wanted to share.
I don't have a story, but I have. I watch too much TV. Maybe I watch you too.
Okay,
So,
I wish you would.
yeah. The problem is, I was Muslim before 9/11, and I'm a Muslim after 9/11, and I'm Muslim before Donald Trump, and I'll be Muslim after Donald Trump, and I will be Muslim the rest of my life until I die. My problem is the media. I watch too much TV, it's annoying. They are not fair and balanced. The problem, the media, is they are not fair. If they want to interview somebody, they interview each other. There's no Muslim expert in there. This is crazy. This is not good. I'm sick and tired for media. Please, thank you.
Somebody just called me a terrorist because they saw me walking.
An adult person or another
A
kid?
child. Because we're separated into groups of our grades. So I was really scared from then on, and that's why I don't wear a headscarf.
So you don't wear a headscarf because someone called you a terrorist? How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel really angry. Like, awkward.
So you get
Yeah.
that right there.
I have never seen on PBS, CNN, on any of the major channels, you know, a good Islamic scholar discussing different things. As far as I remember, I have never seen it. So I think those things need to be brought up to these media channels where good scholars, Islamic scholars should be brought, and there should be some interviews talking about these issues. I think it comes back to the same thing, that in the media, most of the time, it's just 1% group of these ISIS or whatever those people are. Their acts are shown, but not rest of the Islamic, community. What they do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else on that one, and I'll hold this one.
Okay.
What's your name?
My name is Kania. And I'm really concerned about the media as we get into that. Forget about Donald Trump, whatever Trump said. But about the media, okay, for example, when you say that 32% of Americans or 40% of Americans are agreeing with him today, what he said, who am I? I'm an American. I grew up here. I have never been contacted by a media to get my poll. You know what I mean? So where is my percentage? while the media is putting the percentage for Trump and supporting him, where is the rest of America? I contacted several of my friends, and I said, did anybody call you? Did CNN call you? Did Fox News call you? Did, people, whenever you guys use this, you don't call me, and I'm a normal, regular American who works and pays tax, and I am, of course, proud to be Muslim, and to support my Muslim character, manners, with my other fellow Americans, respect my neighbor, respect my co-workers. And that's what I believe, that almost, if it's not 99%, it's more than that, that we all share our qualities to our fellow Americans. We love our country, we are supporting our country, and a very little percentage is not for all Muslims. I'm sorry. I think what he said, I support with that brother. You need to have experts, experienced people to talk about Islam and call them for an interview to actually educate for the public, instead of giving them hatred. And I'm not talking about you, actually, I'm talking about when I see the media, it's just like exaggerating things. What about my fellow American who is Christian, who blows up somewhere? I have never seen anybody go into his church, or I've never seen anybody labeling him. He is like that part of Catholic or this and this. Why one Muslim person, if he did that, he doesn't present all the religion. He presents himself. He presents what group he belongs. There are hate groups for other religions. We have never talked about them. We never labeled them for the religion. Why are we after Muslim and repeating and repeating? And when you repeat and repeat and repeat lie changes into truth. And really, this is not respectful. It's very disrespected. And I feel it for the first time to think about retiring from America to somewhere else. Otherwise, everything has to change to a positive, as we are all expected. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I did have an incident with law enforcement about a year ago, this past October, where I went to go and just pick up some sports merchandise from my cousin's house, and what happened was there was police there present, and they were just monitoring people coming in. What I found out was that they were there monitoring people because there was drug activity going on. And so I went to go to my cousin's apartment. I knocked, no one was there. Then I stopped by the leasing office to pick up merchandise that was supposed to be sent for me. I had it sent to my cousin's residence because I had some issues sending it over to my place of residence. So I got this apparel, and I opened it, and then it was basically a t-shirt. I slipped it on underneath. I had my work uniform, so I just took off my work polo, slipped it on underneath my uniform. And then I just sat in my car, right? And I turned the car on, and I was just waiting for the car to just cool off a little bit. And I was just sitting back listening to the radio. And then just as I was about to pull out, right, the two cops that were in that police car started walking towards my car. And they said, hi, how you doing? And I said, I'm doing fine. And he's like, what are you doing here? And I said, I came to see my cousin. They're like, you don't live in this address. I said, no, I'm parked in the visitor parking. They said, okay, so what are you doing here again? And I said, I came to see my cousin and pick up some apparel, right? And they're like, okay, because what you did was suspicious. You went upstairs, came down, and then picked up some apparel and then just sat in the car. And I said, yeah, I was just about to go. And he was like, well, and then and what I found out was, he asked me, he said, who's the owner of this car? And what I found out was that as he was approaching the car, they ran your tags. Exactly. And I said, it's my father's car. It's under his name, but my name's under the insurance. They're like, okay. And they said, so you don't do any drugs? And I said, of course not. It's against my religion. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I have no contact with people who do drugs and stuff like that. And they said, okay. They said, you don't mind if we, if you don't mind if we just do a search on you in terms of just background check, right? I said, no, not at all, right? And I gave him my driver's license, and I was sitting there in the car, and there was an officer there just there. They ran it. He went into the car, checked, came back. He's like, and just to be sure, like, you don't, we've got complaints here saying that people have been doing drugs. I said, sir, I've never come into contact with people with drugs and stuff like that. At that point, you know, like, I knew that he didn't have a warrant to search me, and he really didn't have any probable cause. But I got the sense that if I said no, he would have tried to use that against me in the sense that he would have tried me booked. In other words, I would have tried to interfere with them trying to investigate on what's going on. So I said, okay, you can search my car, right? So he searched my car, and then the other officer pulled me out to the other end of the lot, and then the other guy started to ask me some questions. He was asking me like, oh, he's like, where do you work? Where do you go to school? And I said, I work and I go to school. He's like, oh, and he's like, how old are you? And I'm like, I said 26. He's like, at the time, he's like, what are your plans? And I told him what I wanted to do once I was done with school. He's like, oh, people your age are much different. They run into a lot of problems and stuff like that. And I said, well, that's not how I was raised and stuff like that. And the other guy is just in the car. The other officer is searching my car thoroughly. He sees a lot of sports apparel, sports equipment in the back of my trunk. And then he says, I see a lot of sports apparel and stuff like that. He's like, are you trying to, is this stuff yours? And I said, of course it's mine. You know, he's like, I said, it's no problem. It's just that we were just trying to wonder if you were trying to sell this stuff. So, and at that point, I was like very, very like annoyed, and I was trying to get to work at that point. And then they asked me, they said, once again, you don't mind if we do a search on you, pat down, right? I said, sir, I don't have any drugs, but go ahead, you know? Mm-hmm. And then he said, okay, just hold your hands behind your back. And I did. And then he started running through my pockets and retrieved several wristbands. He's like, why do you have these wristbands in your pocket? And I said, these are the wristbands that I've worn. I do sports. I work. I sweat a lot. And so this is where I store them, you know? He was like, okay, well, we're done with you for right now. He's like, you cooperated with us. We're just concerned because what you did was suspicious and stuff like that. And I'm like, sir, do you have a business card or something like that? I wanted to get his badge number or something like that. But what he did was he gave me his name and the branch of Fairfax County where he lived at. Mm-hmm. Where he worked at. And at that point, I was like, it was so annoying that I spoke with several coworkers, and they said, well, your religion may have had something to do with it. Your race may have played a part into it. And then I came to pray at this mosque, Friday prayer the next day, and there was one of the security police officers from Fairfax County who I shared my account with, and they said, you shouldn't have given him that leeway or something like that. But I just felt like he was trying to, with the badge, with the baton, with the gun that he had, he was in a way intimidating, and I didn't want to give myself away in the sense that I didn't want to be subject to arrest or anything like that.
No, you just cooperated.
Exactly.
You thought you were cooperating, which is the
exactly,
thing to do,
100%.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for taking part in this tonight and giving us your time. We know it's